What's up, everybody? It's Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, and on this channel, we break down the trials and cases you care most about so you can understand how the American civil and criminal justice system works. And we try to make sure you understand what your rights are in every situation, which is why we try to walk you through the entire legal process while also answering your insightful questions along the way. And while it's not legal advice, it's always exciting. So buckle up for another episode of The Lawyer You Know. What's up, everybody? Saturday night, not a planned live here, but my wife is out. My kids are in bed. I was watching football and I'm thinking, you know what? Be kind of fun to hang out, watch this deposition together for the first time. I haven't watched it yet. Part 2. Rocky Pennington. Let's see what she has to say. I heard there are some interesting admissions and then maybe something that's less than honest or truthful. So we're here to talk more Amber Heard, Johnny Depp. Hit that like button and subscribe. And you won't regret it, I don't think. If you like this stuff, this is what we do. You know, we talk about these cases and we try to break them down. We try to give you a point of view of what it's like from a lawyer and parts of the process that are interesting, why they ask certain questions, why they don't impeach witnesses at trial with this deposition testimony. So we're going to go through all that and more. It's a chill night. We're going to have a good time. And we are going to get through as much as we can, probably the entirety of this deposition. And I see we've already got some super chats coming in, super stickers from Cheryl. Thank you so much, Cheryl. And Andrea. And we've got some new members coming in. We'll talk through in a little bit, but it's going to be an interesting walk through this depo because I always like to give disclaimers in the beginning, okay? We listen to it on 1.5 speed. If you're part of the rewatch crew, you can slow it down. If you don't like the 1.5 speed, I apologize. It's just too slow for me on normal speed. I've got to have it on 1.5 speed. Most of you are used to that by now. Most of you enjoy it by now. We're not going to miss anything. If we do, I'll restate it. I'll put closed caption on anytime they are available. And we are going to skip most of Brian and Jax's commentary because for a couple of reasons. Number one, timing. It's a 2-hour video. We're going to try to do it in just over an hour. Number two, I want you to watch it on Incredibly Average, that channel with Brian and Jax. They put these out there. They have this content. They let us do reaction videos to it with no issues. I want to jump on with them at some point when all of our schedules align, but I want you to watch it on their channel, comment, like it, subscribe, super chat it over there as well. So I just want to make sure everybody's cool with that and understands the process we go. I will also be stopping it throughout the video, just so everybody knows. I will be giving my commentary. We're not just going to watch the depo all the way through, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. And I see a bunch of new members coming in. Mary Malarkey, Val Wolf, and Ashley Ducharme. Some names I do recognize from a lot of the chats and super chats, so I'm glad we've got new members coming in. The last members only chat was really fun. We'll do more coming up. Astrid 1111. What is CCC? It's Countryside Country Club is what it sounds. So it's a golf club down here that I'm a member at. So, somebody's asking why I'm in a hoodie. It's freezing here in Florida. It's under 60 degrees. I'm freezing. I don't even know what to do. That's why I've got a hoodie on. Maybe I'll just put my hoodie up during this video because it's just so cold here. I don't know what to do with myself. Katie Pose is also a new member. Ashley Harris saying, "Oh, stop." You guys, some people are like in New York where it's snowing now. It's 22 degrees here in Chicago, Mary said. Yeah, exactly. But hey, under 60 degrees, that starts to get cold. Look, it doesn't even have long sleeves, all right? I'm not that cold. All right, I have never played Winged Foot, EJ. I'd love to one day. Listen, so it seems like you guys are in a good mood, which is fun, and you always are. Maybe we'll do some AMA stuff at the end where we can just kind of talk through golf. We can talk through travel. We can talk through weather. We can do all that stuff. Joe said, dude, we're looking at 0 this couple game week. I'm going to North Carolina after Christmas, and it's supposed to be 1 degree, which I'm looking forward to. All right. We've wasted enough time here. Let's get to this depo. And like I said, we'll do some AMA at the end. If you guys want to talk about some of that stuff, time permitting. And here we go, folks.
Good afternoon again, Raquel.
Hello.
So we were just at your second encounter with Amber and Johnny the evening of April 21, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you had said goodbye to all the other guests, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do any of those other guests live in the building?
No.
Do you know where Melanie lives?
I think.
Sorry, another disclaimer. I heard through the grapevine that they had some technological issues in this video. So there may be some freezing or some pausing or some audio issues. I believe it's coming from the depo or from the incredibly average video. Just FYI, stick through them if you can. And if you can get over them, if they bother you too much and you got to bounce, I totally get it. I don't want anybody to be frustrated through a video. So I get it. You don't have to stick through it if you don't enjoy it. But I heard there are some technical difficulties throughout. We'll ride through them because we're just chilling on a Saturday night together, right?
All right, hold on, guys. I'm starting all over because I realized I still had my other window open. We're gonna dial it back. Jesus.
Good afternoon again, Raquel.
Hello.
So we were just at your second encounter with Amber and Johnny the evening of April 21, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you had said goodbye to all the other guests, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do any of those other guests live in the building?
No.
Do you know where Melanie lives?
I think.
Do you have her address?
No.
Okay. What about Christy? Where does she live?
I don't know. She's moving.
Okay. Do you know where she lives now?
No.
Okay. Does she live in Los Angeles?
I don't know. I know she's in Australia right now.
Okay. Does Amber take acting lessons in Australia?
No.
Okay. How do you know how long Amber's taken acting lessons with her?
No.
Okay. But she's taken acting lessons with her presently?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. You described her earlier, Raquel, as Amber's acting coach.
Mhm.
What makes you believe that?
She has taken acting lessons with her in the past.
Okay. And do you know where she's taken those lessons?
Privately, I believe.
Okay. Do you know whether she's taken them in Los Angeles?
Yes.
But you don't know for how long or when the last one was. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And you don't know whether Christy lives in Los Angeles?
Correct.
Okay. And where does Whitney live? Do you know Whitney's address?
No.
Okay. Does she live in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where? What neighborhood?
Um,
And how about Brandon?
what about Brenda?
Where does he live?
Um,
Okay. And do you know his address?
No.
Okay. And what about Amanda?
I don't know her address. or
Have
where
you
she
ever been to
lives.
her home?
No.
Okay. Do you know if she lives in Los Angeles?
I believe she lives in Los Angeles.
Okay. And what about Iggy?
Yes.
Yes, what?
He lives in Los Angeles.
Okay. Do you know where? What his address is?
I don't know his address, but I believe he lives in the area.
Okay. Have you ever been to any of these folks' homes?
I've been to Iggy's home
Okay. On how many occasions?
one time.
Okay. And you think it's
Yes.
okay. Okay. So you run into Amber and Johnny a second time. You describe both of them as happy, correct?
Correct.
And you have a conversation with the two of them, correct?
Brief.
You speak words to them, they speak
Yes.
words back,
Yes.
correct? Your fiance is there, Josh?
Yes.
Okay. And congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And he speaks words to them and they speak back?
Yes.
Okay. And are they carrying anything? Do they have anything in their hands?
They have a bottle of wine.
Okay. They mean both of them?
I don't know which one was carrying it.
Thank you, Daft Fader, for letting me know I was muted. I just said when Depos, I was coughing, that's why I muted it. Usually I just leave it on mute so I can be candid here. So your mic, Elaine, Ashley got me good there. Touche. I just said it's funny when you listen to these depositions and lawyers have to be so specific. Like you spoke words to her or to them and they spoke words to you. Cause like you spoke to them was not specific enough, I guess. That's all I said. Nothing too important.
It wasn't Amber carrying it?
I don't remember.
So you remember seeing someone carrying a bottle of wine, correct?
Correct.
But you don't remember whether it was Johnny Depp or Amber Heard.
Correct.
Okay. Was there something that made you notice the wine?
No.
Okay. How was the person, how did you see the wine? Like if you visualize what you saw, what did you see?
I saw them with their arms around each other and a bottle of wine in the front of the two people.
Okay. When the witness is describing their arms around each other, is it fair to say that your left arm is extended in a curved manner? Did they have their arms around each other's waists?
Yes.
Okay. Did Amber have her arm around Johnny and Johnny had her arm around Amber?
Yes.
Okay. And so they were walking arm in arm, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that would leave two arms, right? And where was the wine that you saw?
In the front of the two people. So either one of them had their arm from the outside or the
Okay.
other one had their arm from the other side.
And as you sit here now, you don't remember whether it was Amber carrying it or Johnny carrying it?
Correct.
Do you remember what kind of wine it was?
Red wine.
Red wine. And was it a big bottle of red wine, a Magnum, a normal size bottle of wine? Do you remember what it
Normal
looked like?
size.
Okay, normal size bottle of wine.
A mega pint?
Okay. And how long were you out there where Josh was out there where you were conversing?
Less than a minute.
Okay. And then how did it end? Okay.
Saying goodnight.
Okay. And you and Josh went back in
Yes.
to the place where you're staying?
Yes.
And did you go back in before Amber and Johnny went into their place?
Simultaneously.
Okay. So before you left Amber, is it fair to say that at that point you had observed her having less than 4 glasses or more than 4 glasses of wine?
I don't know what's fair to say.
Well, truthful. You had observed her during the evening,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
You'd observed her.
I don't know what to say. Well, truthful. Yeah, that's usually what we want. We would like for the truth to come out in the deposition.
Drinking multiple glasses of wine, correct?
I observed her drinking wine.
Throughout the evening.
Yes, but I don't know if it was multiple glasses or one glass. I wasn't her keeper of wine consumption.
Okay, I don't think I suggested that you were. I was just asking what you observed of Amber.
I didn't observe that it was one first glass or that.
Whenever a witness says in a deposition, I'm not the keeper of her wine or whatever it may be, it's always a good question or answer to come back to, right? Because as soon as this witness knows everything about certain situations and absolutely this happened or absolutely that didn't happen, but when we ask you something that's negative towards your best friend, you're not the keeper of her wine consumption, so you have no idea. You've drank with her, you've done drugs with her, you've been high with her, you've been drunk with her, so you know how it goes, right? And there's not like we're not condemning somebody for this. It's just like, why are you acting like she didn't drink a lot of wine when everybody testifies that she's drank a lot of wine? Come on.
Or that it was multiple glasses. I couldn't say if it was one glass or multiple.
Okay, but the truth, Raquel, is you saw her drinking wine throughout the course of the evening. Is that
Correct.
correct? And that would be fair to say because it's true, correct?
That I saw her drinking wine?
Yes, throughout the evening.
Throughout the evening.
Yes, okay. And at the point you encountered her in the hallway leading back from the storage unit to the penthouse
Mhm.
in front of your penthouse, could you describe for us Amber's state?
Happy?
Okay. Was she in any way, did you notice anything about whether she was impaired in any way?
No.
You didn't notice, or you observed her and she wasn't?
I didn't notice any impaired anything.
Okay. And I want to be very precise here.
Okay.
Is it true that you didn't notice one way or the other, or she was not impaired?
I didn't notice one way or the other.
So she,
So that's interesting, right? So she doesn't say she wasn't impaired. She just said she doesn't notice one way or the other. And again, this is why the background is really important. Like, have you ever been drunk with her before? You ever been high with her before? We've heard a lot of those questions already. Linda Bailey is right. When you're in a depo or you're in trial, your brain can literally never stop. You've got to be ready for the next question, but also listening to the answer, because that answer could make you go in a different direction or make you ask a couple follow-up questions. But if you ask those follow-up questions, you don't want to forget to get back to your outline and hit all the questions that you prepared beforehand that you knew were important, because those questions you probably have planned other testimony, other witnesses, other evidence, and other questions on. So you can't just skip them. Very interesting. Brown-Eyed Lassie, yes. Part 1 is on our channel. Cheryl Vrabel, hooray. You got to 165,000. Yes, we did. We're close to 175K, or that's our next little half step here that we're trying to get to. I guess we're not close to it. We're still got 10,000 more, but hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Chile and Palm Harbor too. Cheryl is very close to me. And Crack in the Box has blown right past us, deservedly so, at 200,000 subscribers. That's awesome, Christy. Thanks for letting us know. I've seen he just continues to crush it, which is awesome.
So she could have been impaired and she could have not been impaired, but you didn't notice.
By impaired, can you elaborate on what that means?
Her physical state being altered by the effects of whatever she had ingested, if it was alcohol or if it was something else.
I did not notice that she was impaired at any time in the night.
Okay. And is it also true that you did not notice Johnny to be impaired at any time that you saw him on April 21st?
I did not notice that he was impaired at any time in the night.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second. That doesn't line up with what we've heard happened at Amber's party, is it? I thought he had taken drugs. He brought drugs for her, didn't he? Bad time to get something stuck in my throat. He brought drugs for Amber and brought wine. But now she says that she does not notice that Johnny was even impaired. Wow. That's a revelation to me. That seems like a big deal. And it's also interesting because I don't remember Johnny Depp's lawyers impeaching her with this at the trial. So that's weird. But this is a good indication of if Johnny Depp's lawyers had kind of already admitted the fact that he had a substance abuse problem, he drank, he did some drugs, so they weren't going to try to impeach and make see, they were smart. They didn't make the trial about Johnny saying he didn't have a substance abuse problem, because then the jury could have seen, well, Johnny's a liar because everybody seems to indicate at least at some point he's done some drugs, he's drank. He even admitted himself, right? So they decided to go with Amber's big lies and not fight about the little things that really didn't matter as far as the abuse in this case goes and who was telling the truth. So even though she said he wasn't impaired that night, right, it doesn't mean that Johnny Depp wasn't impaired at other times. So why fight that battle? As we sit here playing Monday morning quarterback, sometimes we want to go back and nitpick every single time they could have impeached any one of Amber's witnesses with these depositions that we're watching now. But in reality, it was probably smarter for them not to. And they said over and over again in their interviews, which is why it's important to watch these interviews that Johnny Depp's lawyers do. They said over and over again that they felt like Johnny, admitting the wrongs that he had done and the problems that he had had was a huge differentiator between him and Amber, and why the jury trusted him and believed him and not Amber.
Of the trip to Coachella?
No.
Okay. Now, this trip had been planned for a while?
How long is a while?
You tell me. How long had the trip been planned for?
Blair does a really good job with that when the witness tries to trick her up by how long is a while. It's like, well, you tell me. How long was it planned for?
Okay. And what was the plan?
The plan was if they came back from Australia in time for us to go to Coachella, that we would go to Coachella.
Okay. And was there a plan about where you'd stay?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that plan?
The plan was to stay at the Parker in Palm Springs.
And that's a hotel?
Yes.
Had you made a reservation?
No.
Had somebody else made a reservation?
Object to speculation. Go ahead.
I believe somebody else made a reservation.
Okay. You didn't
Form.
buy a hotel room for yourself?
No.
Who bought the hotel room for you?
I don't know.
You don't know who bought the hotel?
She doesn't know who bought the... Dude, does anybody in the chat... Let me ask the chat. Does anybody in the chat know who bought the hotel room for Raquel at Coachella? Just based off what you know, who do you think bought the hotel room for Raquel? Post in the chat. It's probably the same person that pays for the place that she lives every day. If he pays for that, he might as well pay for the hotel room, right? I mean, it's so wild to think that she's like, oh, I don't know who paid for the hotel. Why does it hurt you to say Johnny Depp paid for the hotel? You literally just admitted you live in a penthouse, not an apartment, a penthouse that you don't pay rent for. Now, you offered to pay rent, but you don't pay rent for, which means Johnny Depp pays for that too. That stuff makes me when I listen to these depositions. And if you're a lawyer, it literally will make you chuckle. I don't know what her follow-up questions are, but my guess is there's going to be some sarcasm.
A hotel room for you?
No.
Do you know how you were getting there?
Yes.
How were you getting there?
Security was going to drive us.
Do you have security?
I don't.
Okay. Who's security?
Amber's security.
Okay.
Or
And
the security that's employed by Johnny that sometimes helps Amber.
okay. And this security was working for Amber at the time that was going to drive you?
Objection asked and answered. Go ahead.
I don't.
So she knew who paid for the security, but not the hotel room.
know if he was employed by Amber or employed by Johnny, but I do know he is part of the firm
Right.
of security guards that Johnny has.
Understood. That's not the question I'm asking. So let
Okay.
me be clear.
Great.
I'm not asking who employed the security that was helping Amber.
Mhm.
I'm simply asking if there was security that was helping Amber during the trip.
Yes.
Okay. And who was that?
Starling.
Do you know Starling's last name?
No.
Okay. And the trip was planned so that you would stay at a hotel, but you were not paying for the hotel.
Correct.
Do you know who was paying for the hotel?
No.
Okay. Did you ask at any time who was paying for the hotel?
No.
Okay. Did you expect to pay for the hotel yourself?
No.
Why not?
Because Amber said that it was taken care of.
Okay. So Amber
It's like you go on this expensive vacation and you just don't even expect to pay for your hotel. That would be such a weird and uneasy feeling for me personally. I don't think I could do it. Listen, if there's like some billionaire I'm going on vacation with that's taking a private jet and, you know, staying in a penthouse at some hotel or whatever, I would just fly commercial and get a hotel room I can afford. You know, I don't, it's just such a weird feeling. It's such a foreign feeling for me.
Amber told you at some point that she was paying for everything?
No.
Objection, misstates testimony. Go
Okay.
ahead.
When you say Amber's told you at some point, Raquel, that it was taken care of, can you tell me specifically what she told you?
That's what she told me.
And did you have an understanding of what that meant?
An understanding as far as
What her saying it's being taken care of
my
meant?
understanding was that it was taken care of,
Meaning she was paying for it?
meaning that it was taken care of. That was my understanding.
Well, when you say it was taken care of, Raquel,
Mhm.
what does that mean?
Objection, asked and answered.
It means that the hotel room was taken care of.
And this is the point, Tiffany. I think this is a perfect point. It's like, you didn't have to ask because Johnny paid for all the crap we did, which is like, whatever. Johnny Depp made $600 million. He's a big shot, like A-list celebrity. If he paid for you, it's not like somebody's going to hold that against you now. Everybody already knows. So the fact that she's not saying it makes her seem just not truthful and not credible. And Johnny's lawyers probably love it. I'll just tell you right now, lawyers kind of love it when witnesses lie in depositions, when we can prove that they are lying. Thank you, Tina.
Taken care of.
And when you say it was taken care of, do you mean it was paid for by somebody other than you?
Yes.
Okay. And did you inquire who that someone was?
No.
Did you care who that someone was?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You
Okay.
better say yes to that, or that makes you look like a real scumbag. If you're just like, as long as somebody's paying for it, I don't care. It's like, wouldn't you want to say thank you if somebody was paying for this hotel for you? Wouldn't you want to like get them back next time there's breakfast? Like you pick up the tab. Don't you want to like try to help them out if somebody's doing something super nice for you like this? Like, don't be a scumbag. Even if you're, I mean, if people are saying a freeloader or whatever, like whatever. If some rich guy offers to pay for a girl to go on a trip, but like, you want to say thank you, I would think at least.
Okay. Why did you care who that someone was?
Because I know that it is an expensive place to stay.
There you go.
And how did you manifest that care about who that someone was?
I don't understand that question.
You've said that you cared about who that someone was.
Yes.
And is there any way in which you expressed your care of who that someone was?
No.
You didn't ask any questions about who was paying?
Objection, asked and answered.
Did you?
I did not ask any questions about who was paying.
Okay. But you were concerned about somebody paying for it.
And
Objection,
again, for those of you that are here, objection asked and answered and speculation and all this and misstatement of the testimony is not proper at a deposition. Form is the proper deposition or proper objection for these. And if it really is inadmissible, it won't come in at trial.
misstates testimony.
Were you concerned about somebody paying for it?
I was not concerned.
Okay. Did you ever ask if you could pay for it?
No.
Shocker.
Okay. And when you talked about Starling, was he employed, to your knowledge, as a driver for the trip?
Yes, and security for Amber.
Okay. And was it your understanding there was need for security for Amber?
No.
Okay. Did you have any understanding of why Starling, who provides security, was on the trip?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Did you have any understanding of why Starling, who provides security, was going to Coachella with you all?
My understanding was that it was to keep Amber safe in a large, crowded concert.
Okay. And did you have any understanding of why there was any concern that Amber would be safe at a large concert?
Sorry.
Was there something that you understood
Did everybody know she was going to be drunk and high?
there to be a need for Amber to have security at a large concert at Coachella?
My understanding is that celebrities need security in public places.
And your understanding is that Amber is a celebrity?
Yes.
And was there anybody else in
There's always opportunities and depositions in these kind of cases. I sued a gym one time that was owned by a very high profile, it's not going to be who you think it is based on where I live, but a very high profile WWF wrestler. And it was so funny. I knew like his tag team group that he was with because I used to watch it when I was kids, and I started asking him questions about that and like how he came up with that name. It have anything to do with the gym. It was pretty funny. But she's taking some shots here at Amber saying, do you consider her a celebrity?
in the group that was considered a celebrity?
No, not to my consideration.
Okay. So Amber was the only one of the group that you considered a celebrity?
Yes.
Okay. And your understanding of why Starling was there, was that because she was a celebrity and needed security?
Yes.
Okay. And did he drive a vehicle?
Yes.
Was it one of your vehicles? Do you have a vehicle?
I do.
Okay. Did he drive your vehicle?
No.
Okay. Do you know whose vehicle he drove?
No.
Okay. Do you know what kind of vehicle it was?
Yes.
What kind of vehicle was it?
An SUV?
Okay. And was that the only vehicle taken?
No.
What other vehicles were taken?
Amber's Mustang?
Okay. And she drove her Mustang?
Yes.
Okay. And which car did you drive in?
I rode in the Mustang.
Okay. And then others drove in the other cars?
Yes.
And am I correct that you all filmed videos and Instagram posts, took pictures while you were on that trip?
Yes.
Okay. And it's fair to say it was a happy trip?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody was having fun?
Yes.
Okay. And how were you paying for food and drinks on the trip?
With money?
Okay. You paid for the food and drinks that you had?
Yes, my own. Yes.
Okay. So you paid every time you had a meal or drank alcohol, you paid for it?
Not every time.
Okay. Were there any exceptions?
Yes.
Okay. When were they?
When a friend would pay for drinks or food at the festival.
Okay. Did you pay for drinks or food at the festival?
Yes.
Okay. On how many occasions?
A few. I don't know how many exact.
Okay. So let's get to you leaving for the trip. When was the next time you saw Amber after the evening where you encountered Amber and Johnny by the pool?
In her bed.
Okay. You saw Amber in
They
her,
weren't by the pool.
I'm sorry, by the security storage.
They were in the hallway in front of our
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. In the hallway outside of your apartment.
Yes.
When was the next time you saw Amber after that?
All right. I'm going to go out.
All right, so we're going to jump ahead here, but I do have a few questions I wanted to answer as well. All right, so before we jump back in there, Tiffany asked, so when they object, does that mean if they go to trial and want to bring that part of the depo in, they can't because it's already been objected to? I've never quite understood that. So it's a great question, Tiffany. And the answer is no, that's not specifically how it works. But when you object in a deposition, what we do if you want a specific transcript or a part of a transcript or a video deposition, as we saw a lot of that come in this case, if you want that to happen, we have to submit it to the court. And we have to say, Judge, here are the page and line numbers that we want to bring into trial. The other side gets to object. So they could say, page 17, line 52, we object to that coming in. Now, there are certain things that you're protecting the record so that you can object to this later when you object during the deposition. But the truth is, if something comes out in a deposition that you think is not admissible, irrelevant, whatever it may be, you can object to that coming in, even if you don't object to the deposition sometimes. Sometimes you have to protect the record. Sometimes you don't. There are different reasons and ways that you can get certain questions and answers in. And it also depends on impeachment. You can say, for example, if you're misstating the testimony and you confuse the witness and you ask them a question that's good for you and they say yes, and you object to form, if they try to impeach your witness with that question, then the fact that you objected to that at the time of the deposition as a form issue, then it's protected and the judge is going to know, okay, I've got to make a call as to whether or not they can answer this. But if you don't object to it and they try to impeach with it and your witness did say yes to something that may have been misstated, and some lawyers, some miserable scumbag lawyers, purposely misstate deposition testimony or misstate testimony. Like I had a case where a kid got hit in a parking lot and died. Really sad. 11-year-old kid walking to the parking lot of his apartment complex. And the lawyer kept asking every witness, well, he was running in and out of cars, right? Well, the police statement said he was running in and out of cars, knowing darn well that we had already taken the depositions of law enforcement officers, and their public press release that was written by the officer that wrote it knew, or I shouldn't say knew, they admitted that they did not get that information from anyone. They surmised that based on where he ended up, and it turned out he was not running in and out of cars. He was walking right down the middle. Yet this lawyer would ask every question. Well, you know he was running in and out of cars. So we would object to form every time because he's misstating the testimony, and we don't want that to be the evidence that can come in at trial. So if he were to try to do that, we would tell the judge, we object to that form. Nobody actually said that, so he shouldn't be able to ask the witness that, okay? Objective form means the form of the question. Somebody else asked, what does objective form mean? Objective form means somebody said, she's like, stop asking me if I'm a scumbag. Objective form means the form of the question is wrong. Okay, you're not supposed to ask leading questions in a deposition like this. If it's leading, the form of the question is wrong. You're not supposed to ask speculating questions or certain kind of questions that they might not know the answer to. But speculation, you're allowed to let them speculate. You're allowed to let them talk about hearsay. You're allowed to let them talk about certain things like that in a deposition. It's a discovery deposition. We're not at trial. But if the form of the question or the way they ask the question is wrong, you object to form. There are a lot of things that are going to be inadmissible and not come in at trial that come out at a deposition, and you're just protecting that record, but many times you can still stop it. So there are two kind of ways it can come in, Tiffany. The one way, if you're trying to bring in the whole deposition or the video, you have to list the pages and lines and what, parts of the depo are going to come in, and the lawyers get to object to that individually. But then also for impeachment purposes, so you have to make sure they're not going to impeach your witness with something that was improper or tricky or just misleading in the way that they ask. Kat Yarb said, Peter, please tell me you won with a bullet. Big time win. That lawyer frustrated the crap out of me, told us the case was worth nothing, and we ended up settling literally as trial was about to start. The supervising adjuster from California, it's a Florida case, supervising adjuster from California pulled me aside and was like, let's resolve this case. So we ended up resolving it. And yeah, the lawyer was really, really frustrating throughout that case. Law enforcement also pissed me off throughout that case, the way they did the investigation, and they felt bad for the driver that hit my client. So they didn't even ticket her that day. And she admitted she hit the gas instead of the brake. Long story, but regardless, yes, it was a victory for us, even though we can't bring him back, unfortunately. Val Sanchez is a new member. Welcome and thank you. 30 minutes in, let's get back to it. I'm a little too lackadaisical here on just this Saturday night chill vibe.
Her bed
Okay. And when was that?
in the morning
Okay.
of the 22nd.
Okay. How did you come to be near her bed the morning of the 22nd?
I let myself into the apartment
Okay.
and walked up to her bedroom.
Okay, let me stop you there. Is it your practice to simply walk into Amber and Johnny's residence and let yourself in?
Yes.
That's something you normally do?
Yes.
It's weird.
And does it matter whether Johnny?
So again, this context is important, and all these questions build on each other. Sorry, I didn't realize I was still larger than the video. All this context is important because, again, when you say stuff like, I'm not her keeper of her wine, or I don't know if she was drunk, or I don't know this or that, but you just like walked into their apartment whenever you wanted to all the time, that context, again, to me, is painting a different picture than she's testifying to.
Johnny is there or not, or do you do it whether or not Johnny is there?
I do it whether or not he's there when I have been invited previously.
Okay. Were you invited to Amber and Johnny's place on the morning of April 22nd?
Yes.
By whom?
Amber.
Okay. How did that come to be?
She sent me a text very early in the morning
Okay.
asking her to wake her up, asking me to wake her
Okay. Do you remember what time?
up between 5 and 6 a.m.
Okay. And she sends you that text at 5 or 6 a.m. to asking you to wake her up when?
at 10:30,
Okay.
around between 10 and 10:30.
Okay. Do you still have that text?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have it here today on your phone?
No.
Okay. Do you have your phone here?
No.
Okay. Did somebody tell you not to bring your phone?
Objection.
Okay, first off, I paused it at a good time because I can't wait to hear what this objection is. Did somebody tell you not to bring your phone is absolutely a proper discovery deposition question. And if Amber Heard is telling people to destroy text messages on their phone or do things like that, that's absolutely proper. She can get sanctioned by the court for that. So that's a totally proper question to get to this. But it does feel like somebody told her to make sure you don't have your phone there with you because they asked me the same exact thing. Let's see what this objection is.
To the extent that it's attorney-client discussion, don't answer.
So is he saying he told her not to bring his phone? Now, listen, we tell clients anything you reference at a deposition, they can take from you, right? If you're looking at a sheet of paper, by the way, if they say, do you have your phone with you? And she says, yes, she does not have to give her phone to them. Her lawyer can say, I'm going to object and move for a protective order. You got to ask the court or subpoena her phone. You can't just get her phone record. She's a private person, not a party to this case. There's a totally proper way to not allow them to get to her phone. But to be like coy about, yeah, I wonder who told her not to bring her phone to her deposition is kind of funny. Not anything really wrong with that. M. Davis, I see you posting about a med mal case. Absolutely. I would love to see if I can help you with it. Shoot me an email, lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. I'm a real lawyer. I haven't given that spiel in a while. Real personal injury lawyer in the Tampa Bay area. We handle injury cases all over, catastrophic injury, car accidents, slip and falls, wrongful death cases. So reach out to me if any of you guys have questions. We have signed so many cases from people that find us on YouTube, and I love nothing more than that. Multiple people last week it happened. It is such a pleasant conversation when you initially talk to people because we feel like we know each other already. They know how I am. They know what they can expect. They're not going to get promises of some outlandish number. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you, I don't know what it's worth till we dig into the case a little bit. I can tell you whether or not I think it's viable. I will do my absolute best. And if I can't handle it, I'll try to connect you with somebody. I can't force other law firms to take your case, but I do everything I can to try to answer your questions. So M. Davis, I would love to talk to you about it. See if I can help you. If I can, I will try to connect you with somebody who can. All right. Sorry for that spiel. Let's continue on.
Just nice. Instructing the witness not to answer.
Did your attorney tell you not to bring your phone?
Instructing the witness not to answer. Don't answer the question.
Did someone have a conversation with you about your phone other than your attorney?
Instructing the witness not to answer.
So she just cured the attorney-client privilege issue by saying, other than your attorney, did anyone instruct you not to answer? And he's instructing her not to answer. And we've been over the fact that you can certify the question, go to the court. If you have to do this again, she's got to pay for the second deposition if we have to do this again. Jennifer McCauley, I am not sure. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but try again. Sometimes, like I said, if somebody asks me for something that's totally outside my purview, I will reach out to some lawyers and see if they will help. And if I can't get anybody to bite, I keep looking. So, if I can't answer the question right off the bat, sometimes I've got to try to bring in another lawyer with a different practice area. I don't know if that was the issue, but I'm not sure. CC, Peter's a very honest lawyer from what I've seen, and he'll truly help you even if at the end it turns out he can't. Thank you, CC. And I will always do my best. I don't promise any outcomes. I don't promise I'll take a case just because you call from YouTube. I would never promise that, but I will evaluate it. I will not charge you anything for the consultation. You will talk to a real lawyer at my firm as much as possible, me, but we have 5 lawyers at the firm, and sometimes other lawyers will take the calls as well. Azam, what's up? In the chat.
Did someone other than your attorney have a conversation with you about not bringing your phone today?
Instructing the witness not to answer.
Raquel, do you normally carry a smartphone?
Yes,
What kind of smartphone?
iPhone.
Okay, what kind of iPhone?
Like model?
Yes.
6
Okay. And when was the last time you had possession of that iPhone?
this morning
Okay. And where is that iPhone now?
at home.
Okay. And did you intentionally leave that iPhone at home?
Yes,
Okay. And did you make that decision based on information you received about these proceedings today?
Instructing the witness not to answer. Relates. Instructing.
He's really pretending like everything's attorney-client privilege. Future. This is between the lawyer and the client. Whatever kind of deal they have. There's not in the law, the witness is usually on the hook.
Instructing the witness not to answer.
Okay. I don't believe that calls for any attorney-client information. It has only to do with
I
the
agree.
witness's understanding, whether or not there were any conversations with counsel. So I'm going to ask the witness again. Was it your understanding and intention to not bring your iPhone to these proceedings?
repeat the question, please.
Did you make a conscious, intentional decision not to bring your iPhone to these proceedings?
Yes,
Why not?
Instructing the witness not to answer.
Can we just make a note for the record? I'm not sure how you all do things, but that counsel for Ms. Hurd appears to be instructing counsel for Ms. Pennington as to objections that should be made. I'm not sure if that's
And see, we can't see that because that's off camera. So that's why she's saying it for the record so we can all know that. That's a great for the record. We've heard some other people like Mr. Brooks do some for the record things that were totally unnecessary, but Blair hits that one.
Okay. He's cute. Don't hang her out to dry.
Who are you referring to?
I don't like
I
that.
haven't said anything to anybody.
Just for the record, I observed that Samantha appeared to be instructing Ms. Pennington's counsel as to making an objection.
I would say that I don't know how you would know that she was instructing anything. If it looked like she may have been communicating, she could have been asking how he was doing, for all we know. I didn't hear anything. I'm making my own objections. I'm not following any of his instructions.
When you made your conscious decision to not carry your iPhone to these proceedings, did you do so for a particular reason?
Yes.
What is that reason?
Instructing the witness not to answer.
I mean, basically, he's admitting that he told her not to. Dog Mama, is that legal? Can an attorney say it's attorney-client privilege when he knows that it's not? No, that's lying. That's fraud. You can't do that in these situations, but we'd have to prove that that was actually the case, right? I am surmising and speculating, but that's not enough to actually get charges like that going.
I know you care about the truth. You've said that the truth is important to you. You are talking about emails that you received from Amber in these proceedings, correct? Huh? I'm sorry, text messages that you received from Amber on April 22nd in the early morning hours, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You've kept those text messages, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you have many other text messages from
All right, not sure what's happening there.
All right, so we have another jump ahead here to about the 1 hour mark. I think they fix a technical issue.
22nd in the early morning hours, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You've kept those text messages, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you have many other text messages from Amber, correct?
Correct.
And you have many other text messages to Amber, correct?
Correct.
Tell me if it's correct. You have text messages back and forth with you and Amber on April 21st, correct?
Correct.
Did Amber text you anytime after you saw her that evening until you saw her in the bedroom that next morning?
From 5 to 6 a in the 5 to 6 a.m. hour. Yes.
That was the only communication you had from Amber, correct?
As much as I
Objection,
can.
Vegas, the time.
Was the text you received from Amber between 5 and 6 asking you to wake her up at 10:30 the only communication you'd had from Amber since you saw Amber and Johnny the night before outside of your apartment leaving the storage unit at 5?
I don't remember.
Okay. When you say you don't remember, you remember seeing Johnny and Amber outside the storage unit of 5, correct?
In the hallway.
In the
front
hallway.
of my apartment.
You remember saying goodnight, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you talk to Amber at any time, whether by text, phone, email, or in-person communication between the time you last saw her there and the time you went to sleep that night?
I don't remember.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection if you looked at your phone to see if there were any text messages?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be possible to retrieve your phone so that you could do that?
Today?
We can do it today or we can do it on a future date, but I would like to see whether you had communication with her, and I'm sure you would like the truth to come out. Would you agree that we could look at whether there were any text messages between you and Amber after that time you last saw her and the next morning when you say she texted you between 5 and 6?
Can I get a clarification, counsel? Is the request to see her phone or is the request for her to provide text messages?
Well, I think we're going to want to inspect.
That's actually a good question by Rocky's lawyer, because in POP asked, why are they so focused on her phone? Because they want certain text messages for impeachment purposes. And Val said the text messages can be subpoenaed when necessary from phone companies. And these two questions go together because you don't just get, as I've mentioned before, all the text messages on somebody's phone. You don't just get to grab somebody's phone and look through it. So as I get what Blair is trying to do and trying to understand, but in reality, you have to subpoena specific text messages, at least from dates and times between Amber and her. She doesn't get text messages between her and her boyfriend or her and her mom or things like that, unless, of course, they're parts of the case, like her and her boyfriend talking about Amber specifically. They can have a third party sometimes look at it, an in-camera inspection in court if there really is an issue with a protective order or some privacy issues. But you can get specific text messages that are relevant to this case, and that may be impeachment for you or for Amber or for somebody else, but you don't just get their phone.
Inspect the phone to see that we have a complete copy. We certainly don't want to impinge your privacy, but we also want to see all the communications. So would you provide your phone so that we could see the communications you had with Amber?
No, she won't provide her phone, but she will provide any relevant documents or messages to the extent that there's a request to do so, but she won't turn over her phone.
Okay. I presume unless ordered to do so by the court.
Of course.
Correct.
I
And
have received a subpoena to do so.
okay. Have you complied?
Oh, so she's already subpoenaed this, right? So that's different. Usually we start with that. Usually we start with, did you bring everything you were subpoenaed with? Interesting. Very interesting. Erica, I saw you post in the chat as well about, what your family went through with an accident. It really is frustrating when people don't have the stomach to do their jobs. If somebody's at fault, you write them a ticket. It doesn't mean you have to ruin the other person's life, especially if it's for an accident. It's really, really frustrating. And I see it all the time. People either don't have enough insurance for the damages that they've caused or can't afford the damages that they've caused, but a life has been ruined or a life has been taken. It's a really tough situation. And half of what I do is explain the process to people in a way that's empathetic and not seeming so cold, but while also giving them the straight truth of here's what we can do and here's what we can't do. Right. It's really something we can't do in a lot of situations like that. But we do the best we can always. And lawyers should care more than just like blow people off, once they've been with them and trying to help them throughout the process of the case. But it's neither here nor there.
Complied with that subpoena?
The date has not come up.
Okay, but you intend to
Do you hear
comply.
that?
Yes.
Very
Did you comply with the subpoena? The date has not come up, but you intend to comply. Yes. So then if you don't comply later, you can use this deposition in court to tell the judge they said they were going to comply. We're now, after this, you could file a motion to compel saying the witness said under oath she was going to comply, and the judge will grant that order on the motion to compel every time if you have this answer in a deposition. So that was great lawyering right there.
Very good.
Unless there's a valid objection, please.
And you understand, Raquel, how important it is not to remove anything from your phone before you comply with the subpoena, correct?
Yes.
Not to erase any texts or trash any communications you've had with Amber, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be problematic.
And as you sit here today, you've thought about these events, correct?
Correct.
And they're important to you, correct?
Yes.
But your testimony is you remember no communication with Amber from the time you saw Amber and Johnny and said goodnight outside of the storage unit, outside of your penthouse, to 5 or 6, between 5 and 6 that next morning.
Objection,
Correct?
state's testimony.
Do you remember any communication that you had having taken place between those time periods?
No, I do not remember.
So the first communication you remember having with Amber was between 5 and 6 the next morning, correct?
Yes.
And you received a text from her that said what?
I don't remember the exact words, but in paraphrasing, she notified me that Johnny had left, that they had had an argument, and that she wished for me to wake her up sometime between 10 and 10:30 so that we could leave to go to on our trip.
Okay. So you believe that in that text she sent to you between 5 and 6 o'clock that she said all of those things?
Yes.
Okay. And did she describe the argument in the text?
I don't remember.
You don't remember what she said about the argument?
Not exactly.
What do you remember, if anything at all?
She said that we had an argument and he left.
Okay.
She said within the text as well, I don't have my phone, but I don't have my phone. Please come wake me up between 10 and 10:30.
Okay. And you believe that she said all of that in the text?
I believe so.
Okay. Is there anything else you remember her saying in the text?
No.
Nothing at all?
I don't remember anything
Okay.
else.
But you have that text?
Yes,
And you're going to provide it in response to the subpoena?
if called upon.
Okay. And in response,
Well, you are called upon. I think what she meant is her lawyer saying if there's a valid objection, which he's right. If there's a valid objection, you don't have to turn it over. And just because you don't turn over your whole phone does not mean you have something to hide. But you want to make sure they know not to delete text messages or pictures or anything off your phone, because that would be potentially destruction of evidence. That could be a problem in a civil case if you know there's an active litigation, which she knows there's an active litigation at this point.
response to that text, did you do anything?
Right away.
I thought the same thing, Jennifer, but I just figured I missed something. Yeah, everybody's saying she texted her, I don't have my phone. I agree. I thought the same thing. I swear that's exactly what popped in my mind, but I figured I missed something that happened before that. Oh man, that's funny.
At any time after you received that text?
I woke her up at the time that she had requested. I don't know.
I guess this is
Okay.
true.
Prior to that, waking her up at 10 or 10:30, am I correct that you made no attempt to see her
Correct.
and that she made no attempt to get you to come over, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how did you think it odd that she was telling you she had no phone, that she was texting you?
Blair is just spot on with the people. We were all asking the same question, and there she goes. She asks it.
Did Amber normally text you from something other than her phone?
Sometimes on her computer.
Okay. And what did you believe to be the case in that instance?
The case of what?
Of what she was, if you had any understanding of where she was texting you from on that specific day between 5 and 6?
I assumed it was computer or iPad.
Very good. And in her communication with you, am I correct that she made no claim of any kind that she had been abused in any way?
I don't remember.
You don't remember whether your best friend made a claim she had been abused that morning?
The term abuse
That seems pretty important, right? Whether or not Amber was abused that morning.
is a very broad definition, as I've so learned.
How do you define abuse?
Who did you learn it from? Who did you learn that it's such a broad definition from?
Remember,
Sorry, guys. I don't know why I keep doing that.
All right, we're going to just jump ahead a couple minutes here.
You don't remember whether your best friend made a claim she had been abused that morning?
the term abuse has a very broad definition, as I've so learned.
How do you define abuse?
My definition would be throwing things, extremely violently loud yelling and verbal abuse, destroying other objects in an apartment, destroying personal property, causing bodily harm, and unneeded emotional distress.
Okay.
Look how long it took her to get to causing bodily harm. It was like, well, if you break things or yell or destroy property, it's basically the May hoax of he tipped over my beads and spilled some wine. We're just going with that story. It took forever to get to bodily harm, even though it's essentially all Amber ever claimed. Back to it.
Let's take this on April 21st and April 22nd in phases.
Mhm.
Okay. On April 21, as you said goodnight, right prior to fobbing everyone down in the elevator as you were leaving the apartment, is it truthful? Is it true that Amber had not said anything to you or made any claim to you that any of those things you just referenced in your definition of abuse had occurred
Occurred when?
that evening?
That evening, when I said goodbye to her that night?
Yes.
Correct.
And am I correct that at the time you saw her with Johnny, as you described, happy with their arms around each other, is it also true that Amber had not communicated to you in any way, shape, or form that there had been abuse of any kind as you defined it just now?
During the evening that we were having dinner?
Correct.
And we're talking about abuse that specific night during the 45 minutes that we were all around him?
If that's what you were referring to, I'm referring to any contact that you had had during the evening with Amber. Did she ever once claim to you that she had been abused in any way?
In their entire relationship? I'm very confused
let's
with
be
what
clear.
you're,
Sure,
with
let's
what you're
be
asking.
very clear.
Yes.
Okay, because we'll get to all of that other stuff. Okay. All the claims that you say she made. Okay.
She's literally giving her a time period, but Rocky is trying to extend it so that she can say yes.
On the evening of April 21st, you say that Johnny arrived approximately at 10 o'clock?
Yes.
And you were there another approximately 45 minutes or so before you said goodnight and then fobbed everybody down in the elevator.
Yes.
Is it the truth that at no time during that period of time did Amber ever communicate to you any claim of abuse by Johnny?
During that time, about abuse about that evening? Or abuse of an entire relationship?
Let's start with that evening.
No.
Was there a time during the 45
It's really important, right? It's really important.
minutes that Johnny was there that Amber heard complain to you or communicated to you about a claim of abuse by Johnny prior to that evening?
No.
Okay. So Amber made no claim of any abuse by Johnny during the entire evening you were with them in number 5 about Johnny, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, between the time that you were with them and left and then next saw them again later in the evening outside of the storage unit, is it true that Amber made no claim of abuse?
I believe that she said that their argument got very bad. It was a bad one. In my knowledge of what she terms as bad, and in her previous tellings of me about their fights, that abuse had most likely occurred.
She told you at some time during the evening hours of April 21 that she was claiming that abuse had occurred.
No, during the text, you said the text
Okay.
between 5 and 6 a.m.
Okay, but that's on April 22nd, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So prior to April 22nd, she had not made any reference at all to any claim of any abuse on April 21.
Correct.
Objection. Vague. I just want to be clear. Are you talking about abuse on April 20th?
This is inappropriate. This is inappropriate coaching. Vague is not a proper definition. objection during a deposition form. And then you can coach your client a little bit if you want to say, if you understand, you can answer as a little tip off that maybe you don't understand. She has already answered. So if she answers, the other lawyer is allowed to assume she understands the question. That's the issue here.
April 21 or the claim on April 21?
Do you understand what I was asking?
I believe I already answered it.
Okay, so you understood what I was asking.
See, exactly. Boom.
I think so.
Okay, great.
There you go.
Okay,
Then
so
move
in
on.
the text between 5 and 6 o'clock,
The only point of that objection is if the witness does not understand it. Witness said she understands it. She already answered it very quickly and easily, actually, a lot easier than she answered some of these other simple questions. So Blair's like, boom, we got it on the record. Witness said she understood. Every judge would agree that that was an appropriate answer if the witness understood the question.
on April 22nd, it's your testimony here today that Amber Heard made a claim of abuse about John Depp.
She did not make a claim
Did she communicate with you?
in the text.
Yes.
Yes.
What did she say, Raquel?
She said that they got in an argument. It was bad. He left. She doesn't have her phone. Please come wake her up.
And those words are the equivalent to you of a claim of abuse?
Those words are the equivalent to me of multiple situations in which she has claimed that abuse occurred, and I have gotten a text that said that.
Okay. So you are saying in your testimony here that her words to you were that they had gotten in a bad argument, correct?
Correct.
And your interpretation and understanding of the definition of bad argument is abuse?
Objection, misstates testimony.
Is that your understanding of her referencing a bad argument?
From
She's literally asking her, is this what you mean? And he's like, misstates testimony. Well, if it does misstate your testimony, Rocky, please tell me what your testimony is. So the lawyer's just kind of muddying it up, but that's what Blair's trying to say. Like, what is your testimony then?
from my opinion of what a bad argument is with the two of them, yes.
Okay. So do you have, at that moment, on April 22nd, 2016, between 5 and 6 in the morning, you have an opinion, as you just testified, that those words, bad argument, mean abuse, based on your experience with Amber Heard?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to that moment, between 5 and 6, had you ever observed, you with your own eyes, observed any conduct that meets your definition of abuse by John Depp?
No.
Whoa. So I guess that is the admission we've been waiting for, because that's a huge one. She says she's never seen with her own eyes anything that meets her definition of abuse. That's what you'd call a good answer for Johnny Depp. All right, so yeah, they pause it here. We'll jump ahead to the last 10-minute section here. But first, let me answer a couple questions. Sherry, thank you so much for doing this tonight. You could be relaxing on a Saturday night. I am relaxing. This is fun. Like this, watching these depositions together, it's almost like watching a movie or a show, right? We've already got so much context. We discuss it together. You guys know more about the facts than I do half the time. I'm just adding the legal context about what the lawyers are thinking, how this stuff can be used, whether it's impeachable. This is relaxing. This is chill for me. Sometimes when we have a new case and I'm diving into a complaint or an appellate brief, stuff like that's, a lot more, you got to be laser focused. This is just kind of like sitting around and with a bunch of couches with some friends watching a show and talking about it. Lisa, I thought the insurance company was paying the lawyers. This is the family law case. So Johnny Depp paid for the lawyers in this case. At the end of the day, the insurance company paid the civil defamation lawyers though. K-Rab, sometimes it's easier for the cops to write a ticket to only the insured party. My daughter was driving in Florida in my NC registered car and was hit by a Florida driver. They cited my daughter. Other wasn't insured. That's horrible. Florida is one of the worst states with uninsured or underinsured drivers in it, which is why anybody that lives in Florida, you have to have underinsured or uninsured motorists. If not, you're driving around and these other people could be irresponsible and they might not have any bodily injury coverage. Even if you have bodily injury coverage, make sure you get UM. If you don't know what that is, check out my video on insurance. K-Rab, the citation was thrown out. Well, that's good at least. Mo, if you read that as abuse, why not go over there? Mo, she can't just walk into their apartment. Oh, wait. I guess she could.
That was from your conversations with Amber Heard, correct?
and my visual of her injuries.
Okay. And these are, when you say your visual of her injuries, these are times at which you were saying that you saw Amber, correct?
Yes.
And she had injuries, correct?
yes.
And she told you that those injuries were from abuse, correct?
She told me that they were inflicted by Johnny.
Okay. So she made a claim to you that she had an injury that Johnny had caused.
Claims.
Claims. Okay. So let's talk about that text. Okay.
The 5 to
The
6
5 to
a.m.
6. Okay. And we'll get to those claims. But first, let's talk about that text.
And you see why we're getting timelines and stuff like that. 'Cause that's important when you file a subpoena and you can tell the judge she admitted she has all these text messages between 5 and 6 a.m. So that's all very important. Tori, this whole depot is verbal semantics, verbal gymnastics, verbal round robin. So many depots are like that. Difficult witnesses always try to do that with you. And it's funny because it comes off horribly usually.
You received a text where Amber, your best friend, told you that she had had a bad argument, correct?
Correct.
Based on your prior experience with Amber, which we will talk about in a little while, you believed that that text meant that she had suffered abuse.
Yes.
And your reaction to your best friend communicating that to you was what? Did you go check on her to see if she was okay?
Yes.
Okay. So you went down there at 5 in the morning?
I didn't hear the text at 5 a.m.
Okay.
or between that, whatever that 5 to 6 a.m. text was. I didn't hear it pop up. It didn't wake me up.
Okay. When did you receive that text?
Close to 10 o'clock.
Okay. Did you immediately go over there?
Yes.
Okay. And you swiftly went over there. Did you notify Josh?
Yes.
And what did you tell Josh?
I got this text. I don't know what happened yet. I'm going to go check on her.
Okay. And then you went right over there.
Yes.
Okay. Did you call 911?
No.
Did you think about contacting anybody to help Amber?
I hadn't seen her yet, so I didn't know what the extent was.
But once you saw her, did you? Right? That's got to be the follow-up question because she never went to the ER by ambulance. Of any of the times you saw this abuse, did you ever see her or did you physically force her to go to the doctor? It's your best friend. Her husband's abusing her. Didn't you take her to the doctor?
But you had already concluded it was abuse.
Yes.
Okay. And you went over there.
Mhm.
Okay. And what did you see when you let yourself into the apartment?
Their apartment. I went in up the stairs,
Okay. Did you pass through the living room?
sort of. Yeah, the stairs are on the side of the living room.
Okay. So you walk in, right? Did you have to travel a hallway between your apartment and their apartment?
Yes.
Okay. So you traveled the hallway, correct?
Mhm.
Did you see any shattered glass in the hallway?
No.
Did you see any broken bottles in the hallway?
No.
Did you see anything amiss in the hallway?
No.
Okay. And you got into the apartment and you went upstairs.
Interesting, right? Especially when we think about what statements Amber Heard won on the defamation counts.
Did you see anything in the apartment?
Yes.
Tell me specifically what you saw.
When I opened her bedroom door, there was shattered glass all over the floor.
Okay. So you didn't see anything amiss between being downstairs when you first entered and you got upstairs, correct?
Correct.
There was no shattered glass downstairs, correct?
Correct.
There were no broken bottles downstairs, correct?
Correct.
Nothing seemed amiss, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Well, shattered glass.
Until she's saying downstairs. We're talking
Correct.
about downstairs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Correct.
We're not upstairs yet.
Correct. Right? When you say not to my knowledge, you were there, correct?
Yes.
You were seeing, you were able to see,
Her lawyer's like answering questions for her there.
correct? You were walking through the living room, correct?
Yes.
You were very familiar with that living room, correct?
Yes.
You would have noticed if there was broken, shattered glass on the floor, correct?
Yes.
A smashed wine glass or anything like that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't notice that. You didn't see any of that.
No.
None of that was there, correct?
I didn't see any.
And you then went upstairs, correct?
Yes.
Did you run or walk?
I walked.
Okay. You walked upstairs. And what did you do when you got upstairs?
I opened her bedroom door
Okay.
and immediately saw glass all over the floor.
Okay. Let me stop you there. You immediately opened her door. Did you knock on her door?
No.
Okay. Is it your practice not to knock on the bedroom door when you go there?
When she is home alone, I do not knock.
Okay.
How do you know?
And you opened the bedroom door. And what did you do next?
Stopped,
Okay. And did what?
looked at the glass,
Okay.
looked at her in the bed. She woke up when the door opened and the light came on. So I saw that she was awake.
Okay. Okay. And when did you first remember that you saw this glass on the floor? Was it recently?
What do you mean?
Well, it's my understanding, Raquel, that you prepared a declaration in this case, correct?
I don't think I did. I think I only prepared my declaration for the May incident.
When you say you only prepared your declaration for the May incident, what do you mean by that?
The May incident of abuse when the police were called and there was another fight that had happened.
Were you asked to prepare a declaration?
I offered to give my eyewitness testimony of what I had been involved in.
Okay. And this is certainly sounds like it's something that was alarming and upsetting to you, correct? On April 21st, 22nd?
The morning,
Yes.
somewhat.
Okay. But you chose not to include it in the declaration.
Why somewhat? Why is it only somewhat alarming to you, right? It's weird.
You prepared in this case?
For the declaration for the May event.
Did someone direct you to only talk about May?
Objection to the extent that it calls for attorney-client communication. Don't answer.
Raquel, you say you offered to prepare a declaration in this case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When did you offer to prepare a declaration?
I don't remember.
You don't remember when you offered to prepare that. Do you remember who you offered to prepare the declaration to?
Amber,
Okay. And where were you when you offered this?
I don't remember.
You don't remember where you were when you offered this?
No.
You know you're under oath here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you remember offering Amber to prepare a declaration?
The you know you're under oath is always a bold move. And I will say you can overuse it. Blair does not overuse it. So the fact that she's saying it to me makes me think she knows that this is not a truthful statement that Rocky is giving right here.
Declaration, but you don't remember when it was or where you were.
Counsel, she was asked to prepare a declaration, and she prepared a declaration to serve the purposes of domestic violence, class restraining order.
Excuse me, sir. Did anybody ask you a question? Are you answering this for your client here? Are you coaching the witness? Could you please refrain from answering questions? This is not your deposition, sir. If she doesn't know, she can say she doesn't know, and I can keep asking my questions. That's so annoying when lawyers do stuff like this.
Restraining order. It was not the purpose of that declaration to give details, nor is it proper to give all of these kinds of details that you're inquiring about at the DV. The DV was granted. The evidence presented was sufficient.
I hate to interrupt you, but let me just be clear. Joe, are you testifying here?
Absolutely not.
Boom.
Okay. So are you making an objection?
I'm making a statement.
I would say, are you under oath, sir? Can we get you sworn in? Can the court reporter swear you in so we can get you under oath here if you're going to testify? Dead serious. I've done that before in a deposition. I've literally done it before when a lawyer has done this. I'll be like, all right, let's swear him in. Let's swear him in right now. Look at the court reporter and everybody's like, oh, is he being serious? I'm like, if you're going to testify for 3 straight minutes to a question that your client's clearly dancing around to either give her the answer, I'd rather get your answer under oath. If you're willing to do it, it's brutal.
I've made it.
Okay. Okay. So may I return to questioning the witness?
Not my devil.
Well,
It
I'm
seems
sure
like
you would
it.
afford me the same respect as I would afford you. And, it's perfectly fine if you'd like to make an objection. The witness is represented by counsel. So if we could sort of do it without statement making, I would very much appreciate it. Okay, Raquel, you say that you offered to prepare a declaration. Was this after was this after Amber had filed her papers for divorce?
Yes.
Okay. I am being told we have a minute left. Would you like me to pause?
Yes, we need to go.
Okay. If we can go off the record.
This marks the end of media number 1 in the video deposition of Raquel Pennington. The time is approximately 4:39 p.m. and we're going off the record.
And that's it. Part 2 in the books with more to come. So it's a frustrating group. And I've heard stories about family law. And now this happens in, every different kind of case as I've been telling some stories that I've been getting into. It does happen and it's really annoying. And I hate fighting with the lawyers at depositions, but sometimes you just have to be like, dude, you've got to stop. Like, this is improper. And you say, and half the time, especially if it's around here, and I know a lot of these judges, I'm like, we both know the judge is not going to like this when they read this transcript back, and this is how you're acting. And I'm very purposeful when I write emails, especially to opposing counsel, because certain lawyers like to attach emails to motions that they file with the court as if it's going to embarrass the lawyer. I love it. I've literally multiple times say, we both know the judge is going to rule in my favor in this situation. And they act like the judge is going to be offended when I say that, but I'm pretty reasonable. So when they do file that with the court and the court still rules in my favor, I want to write them back and be like, exactly. Because I'm not saying like the judge is in my pocket. I'm saying, have you read the rules? Like, do you know how the rules of common courtesy go? Do you know the rules in a deposition? Like, this is not something that is like controversial or could go either way. P-Hop, thanks for spending your Saturday night with us. Absolutely, P-Hop. And I'm going to do 10 minutes of an AMA. If you guys have questions, if you don't and you're just here for the depo, that's fine. And if you're leaving after the depo, hit that like button on your way out, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Saturday nights are unusual, but they're fun, and we'll do them once in a while. So since we're here on a Saturday night, we'll go 10 more minutes. Kelly Folletta, she claims hearsay. Yes, hearsay is admissible in a deposition. So yeah, you can ask hearsay questions and what did this person say, or who said that, or when did they say it, how did they say it, why did they say it, stuff like that. Yeah, P-Hop, is it P-Hop or FOP? FOP 444. I've always said P-Hop. They are always in the chat and always having fun, and I've always said P-Hop from day one. But if it's FOP, they've never corrected me. Lady P in the house. Thank you, John. Love hearing from you as well, especially with the nicknames and titles you throw my way are always fun. Must have missed it. Was the CCC? It's Countryside Country Club is what it stands for. Yeah, all 2,000. Hit that like button. Thanks, Dr. Tragos. Squab Bob. I had a lawyer one time try to tell my client that the diagnosis was improper. And the client was like, well, that's what the doctor told me. That's in the medical record. He goes, I'm a doctor, right? I'm like, bro, that's literally, they tell us that's totally inappropriate. And we can't actually say we're a doctor in this context because we're a juris doctor, which is like, I make the joke all the time. Like when we're sitting around the table and we're talking about something with my family, I'm like, listen, only one of us is a doctor here, as a joke, but that guy said it for real. But it is funny because we're technically doctors, but I've never been called a doctor. My first time seeing this, has this been out there? Incredibly Average is breaking this stuff. So Brian and Jax are breaking this stuff. I think they're the first ones to post any of it. And then we react to it from kind of the legal angle, but they have a lot of the facts and background and stuff like that. So definitely check them out. Anyone know when the next hearing for Courtney Clenny will be? I know the original trial date was today. Yeah, they pushed it. I can't remember. I think it's February. I don't think so, Brenda. I never saw that. Cat Yarb, Saturday is my Wednesday night. Or night, everyone. 4 a.m. comes early. Woof. 4 a.m. Yeah, it was released yesterday by Incredibly Average. Can you give your overall thoughts on this testimony? It does not feel credible to me. I don't feel like we've gotten a ton, and I actually think the biggest bombshells have been positive for Johnny Depp. He wasn't intoxicated. She's never seen abuse through her own eyes. Amber did not tell her she was abused that one night in question. Michelle C. In the U of Idaho murders, many people seem to think it's a good idea for students to offer their DNA for exclusion. I would never do that. I don't trust the government thoughts. Then they have it forever. I would never do that. I would literally never do that, and I would never advise a client to do that, or a friend or anybody I knew. I think that's just a bad idea. You're asking for problems. You really are. February 6th for Clenny, Rare in the History said, you're asking for problems because, I mean, look, it has the Delphi stuff 6 years later, it came down. So once that stuff's in the system, they'll go recheck it to try to find somebody to get justice for the victim's family. And while that is a noble cause and reason to, you don't want them to get the wrong person just because they have all these people's DNA that could have been over the house, especially like you're having parties there. They said a lot of people in and out. Your DNA could show up there and you could have nothing to do with it. But then, I mean, listen, you guys, we have seen people get convicted on less. If I could say this guy sent her a text message one time hitting on her, she rejected him, his DNA is at the house, I think there are some jurors that would convict for that. And that's just not enough. P-Hop, you are correct, Peter. P-Hop. Boom. Score another one for the good guys. Tori, Peter, can you tell us why the guy was arrested at the Aaron Dean sentencing? I have not watched 1 second of the Aaron Dean trial. Do you guys want some kind of recap on that? I don't know a single thing about it. I don't know a single fact. I don't know a single thing that happened at trial. So if you guys really want it, let me know in the chat and in the comments. Can Johnny use any of this in his appeal? No. $4 a.m. in France. Good night. Good night. Any update on the suitcase murder? Haven't looked. I have not seen any update, but I think that trial is early in 2023, and we're definitely going to cover that. Yeah, I know, CJ. That 23andMe and stuff I've always not been a fan of it. Yeah, that is different, S. Moore. Actually, there are a couple lawyers that are also doctors here. My brother-in-law, when he was in law school, there was an OBGYN that was also in law school. That's different. If you actually do have your medical degree, then yes, you're also a doctor. See, Aaron Murphy, thank you. I mean, don't crime and it should be fine, but my blood is none of your business. But there's a lot of innocent people that have gone to trial, that have won sometimes, but you still got to go through it, and still wrongfully accused, wrongfully charged, whatever, the whole nine. And then there are also some innocent people that get convicted. So I just don't want to take any chances to even allow the government or law enforcement to make a mistake. And then, God forbid, a jury really wants to get justice for these poor victims that they feel for, and they just convict the person that the government and law enforcement says did it. That happens a lot. That's their job. They know how to do these investigations. They know how to question witnesses. It's tough. Jennifer, who's taking bets on Lori Daybell, will make it to trial in April before being competent again. I hope she does. I hope that thing goes to trial. Speaking of justice for the victims. Are you going to do a Making a Murderer breakdown, Arimar Schultz? If you check out our podcast on iTunes, Laura, I did a full breakdown on Making the Murderer, I think with my dad as well. I thought it was interesting. I loved that documentary. Mary, 2,000 people watching, 854 likes. Show some love. Yeah, hit that like button. See if we can get it up over 1,000 before we bounce here in a few minutes.
Cool room door.
Totes excited for the suitcase trial, Tina said. It's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Cool
Thank you,
room
chat.
door.
J. Michael, I did not see. I saw that it was a not guilty verdict, but I didn't watch any of that one either. Like I've said before, if I'm paying attention to a case or a trial, you guys are going to know about it. I don't do any of this without talking to you all about it. You guys are like my true crime friends now. I guess they're not all true crime, but you get what I'm saying. Barbara, it's on iTunes and SoundCloud and all that. It's called The Lawyer You Know. It used to be called Peter's Proffer as a play on words, but now it's just called Lawyer You Know. Oh, sounds like my wife is home,
Kitchen door.
which means I will be signing off. Yeah, we have a podcast. A lot of it, the older stuff was podcast only. A lot of the newer stuff is kind of like repeats of what's in our videos. All right, but that'll do it. I'm going to sign off now. Is Peter Sparrow retired? Probably. Actually, I don't know. I'll probably do it for Halloween every year since I have the costume now. How about the coroner attorney combo in Moscow? I did a video on that recently, so check that out, AC. I think it's going to be interesting now that the lawyer's on the case. I think it'll be more pointed and stuff will start happening. But all right, that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for everybody joining on a random Saturday night live. Maybe we'll do it again soon. Until next time, I'm out of here. Hit that like button on the way out.